It's Halloween, and what a good time to start with a show which I want to do for a long time. This is Arcana Check. First things first, what is Arcana Check? It's basically a D&D skill based on magic for magical sources, classes like wizards, like myself, which of course is involved with exploring the lore of magic and magical items and symbols and you name it, even existing planes and inhabitants. But this is about a game. I recently streamed on Twitch for this October, Resident Evil 7. Yeah, I recently played this game and I really love this game because how in fact it is the scariest game I ever played. If you don't believe me, check out my video of my stream event if you want to on YouTube. It should be on here somewhere. But why Resident Evil is my first pick to explore its lore and secrets and why it's a great game as it is. There's more that meets the eye. Let's start with the beginning. I mean the very first Resident Evil. Well, Resident Evil. The horror setting of it. Of course, why it's so great at the start at that time. Basically, the setting is set in a mansion in the middle of nowhere where you are a part of a investigating team to investigate a case of sightings of the undead that's basically walking. Which of course, even though they're not undead yet unless they realize it. The game focuses mostly on jump scares, puzzles, even survival. That's created the trend of survival horror. Even the game is based on Alone of the Dark, which is a classic game with tank controls and puzzles and even survival too. That makes it such a masterpiece at the time, even groundbreaking, that we'll explore in the future of horror games. As the success of Resident Evil, Capcom wanted to make more Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3. But until they kinda started losing the thoughts of survival horror since Resident Evil 4. It's a great game and all, even though it's as an action pack, but where's the horror and the survival? Then 5 came out, it's kind of more an action pack and have really bad fans, even the whole, like that time you punching a rock. No, not that rock, that rock. Even when 6 came out, it's starting to put a nail on the coffin. It's so bad in the story and the action and even the setting is so messed up. Then that's how Capcom realized that what the fans want. They don't want an action-packed like the other action games. They want a good scare, a good story, and a very realistic survival. And that's why Resident Evil 7 came in and basically became a great game that changed not just the series, but the whole genre of survival horror game. Let's start with the kicker on here. On the making of 7, answer the other myths of 6. Capcom want to discuss on the survival of the franchise, and they talk about their favorite, a famous horror movie, The Evil Dead by Sam Raimi, which of course the setting of it, which they like and discuss about. As the setting they decided to pick one place setting Then the last setting with is basically taking different location, like with 6 would take you like America to some European mountain, then take you to China or Hong Kong. Not too sure. I'm not good with that, but you know. But even though discussed, yeah, it's a bad idea to have different location ideas as a survival horror. So if you want to reinvent the wheel, what made the first game so great? They want to go to the old ways of horror, but one dev suggests this one idea that will change Resident Evil franchise forever. What if the game have a first-person perspective? They all agree on the idea of it. Even the idea was created before VR games became a thing, because the idea happened on basically 2013. Then developed the game next year and work on it with the new engine, RE engine. I know it's not a great name, but well, that's Resident Evil. And even with Sony announced their new VR headset, aka Project Moses, if I hope I said it right, they quickly create a team to do a VR version of the game. So yeah, there's 2 devs team working on one game, which is not much good, but yet it's a bold move. All they need is a latent creation of the story, design, and the people of the world building of the set. So they know how to pick Kuroso Nasasi. I hope I say his name. I will highlight his name, his proper pronouncing his name. He's basically known for creating a spin-off game of Resident Evil Relentless, which was highly praised over the design of it. As a critic quote, fully successful crossbreeding of old school chill and new school action, highlighting the broadness, atmosphere, and slow-paced combat, and capture the original spirit of the Resident Evil games should be. And even it's one of the best boss battles, and yet one of the greatest 3DS games out there, and even also it's out on PC right now if you want to play it. Yes, so he is basically waiting for the job for the main course series. Now it is time to get deep into the game concept. As the game began, as you playing as Ethan Winters, a husband of a missing wife that gone missing 3 years ago. He recently got an email of a video of his wife Mia, who is very alive but terrified of someone trying to get her as he's making this video message. So what Ethan do? He decided to find her at the location of the video, at none other than Louisiana. Yes, sweet home Louisiana, where basically the name of the state is named after a French king, true fact, and sweet history of jazz. Yet again, that's Louisiana famous. And even, please Louisiana, don't hate me, the home of the worst American team until 2009 that they won the Super Bowl. Yeah, I researched the fun fact of Louisiana, so to make this educational. So yeah, as you find a rotten, creepy house, and even inside you find really disturbing stuff. As you're trying to search for your wife, which of course he was hidden in a basement, because that's weird for Louisiana for having basements, which of course, the weird thing is, guys, due to it, Louisiana don't have any basements due to Well, look at it. Lucian always sometimes get hit by hurricanes, and yet, but as you go basically find her, and she's acting so weird, like bizarrely weird, as she's basically trying to attack you. Which of course you face her 3 times in the game. You got this like a punch out of nowhere by none other than Jack Baker. As you meet the family for the first time, you basically kind of see them eating human parts and trying to forcibly feed to you. And even the scene is kind of felt like, this is so familiar. Wait, I see that. Oh wait, Chainsaw Massacre. Yes, if you've not seen that movie, there is like a very hillbilly family that's obsessed by killing people and eating them. Obviously, of course, I forgot the family, but I think the called was called The Family. As of course, you see them eat it. But it is an awesome reminder of a horror. And as of course you face them soon, and here's of course one thing unique about this family, about the Baker family. Each of them have their own horror genre. Yes, even for a horror game, they have their own horror genre to tribute. 8 American horror movies you have seen in the past or not, but here they are. Let's start with, in order of the boss battles. First thing first is Jack Baker. Jack Baker is kind of more of a slasher horror, because every time you face him or trying to run away from him, he always have an axe or a chainsaw or whatsoever, and he even bursts out of the window of a wall. And as you, of course, you face him in the first boss fight, but whereas you thought he was dead, nope, he pop out and force you to kill him with a trigger. And which of course he blew his brain out, but he suddenly came back from the dead, which was pretty much a scary scene, as you're like, holy crap, he's alive? But it makes sense, and yet it's a real scare to it. Because this, like I said, by great horror slash movies, is basically, of course, the slasher always comes back eventually. Like, he got a job, he's not done until he's, well, dead. So he's kind of, his trope is basically based on basically the Friday the 13th or Halloween, or even of course Scream. Scream is also tribute to that too. But as you, of course, you watch them, if he did, which I highly recommend, what's one of them, I probably say Scream personally. But as you, of course, you faced him all the time, it complex like saying, yes, I have defeated Jack. And then probably saying the most epic boss fight, that you face him in a chainsaw duel, which is awesome. Like, you cannot bet, like, a chainsaw duel, hell yeah, sign me up. And even now, Margaret Baker, the wife of Jack Baker. As of course, as Jack Baker did reference, you don't want to mess her with her bugs, as she basically, of course, she is kind of, her horror is none other than insects or body horror. But if you guys body horror, but her powers are basically based on insects. Yes, but she did, of course, mutated as you basically defeat her in this first time. But of course, as you face her, she basically got long arms and long legs in the second boss fight. And yet, that fight was so tense and scary as hell. And also, Dana mentions a bit disturbing to one part of her body that have a nest where she basically, after you basically defeat her, you can also notice her horror genre is basically based on the Fry, the remake version of none other than Jeff Goldberg. It kind of makes sense that her genre is body horror with insects. And yet there are some horror movies that have someone like transporting or turning into like a furry insect creature. And after defeating her, you up against their sons. That is Lucas. Lucas is probably say the most interesting character of the Baker family because he's actually have a mind of his own and he is a really sick psychopath before this whole fan even started. And as you face him, you notice that he basically asked you to play a game. And yes, I said he asked you to play a game to rescue your wife and his sister Zoe. Basically an innocent girl who doesn't want to get out the family due to they basically abuse her all through 3 years of the fans. But as of course, you basically have to take his challenge to find 2 keys. But as you search for those keys, basically of course there always is a twist horror of it as you face. And even some really good puzzles too. But as of course you get the keys, you manage to get into his fun house. Which is of course, it's even more torture as hell. As you find out his games are full of traps and even force you to fight monsters. Then of course, even as you've done that, you have to go into is probably say the most famous part of the whole game is none other than the escape room, which is actually my favorite part in the game. But beating the escape room, you basically piss him off and he's trying to kill you by throwing a bomb and you manage to, fall back. But no, you don't manage to kill Lucas or face him. But as of course you basically got what you needed, the 2 parts, which of course Zoe Baker, the daughter of the Baker family, basically who is the helpful guide. He's helping you to basically get your wife out and all, and helping her out too, because that's kind of part of the deal. But as of course, you manage to give her the 2 body parts that's like from some ancient thing. I don't know what it is, but it's ancient. But as you basically see, manage to, I will say, magically create a potion, well, an antidote, to basically to cure her and your wife. Basically find this infection. But of course, if you're gonna ask infection, wonder how they got infection, and yet how this infection also affect the family. Does it affect their behavior? But as of course you face another epic boss fight, which is Jack, which turned into some giant ass mutated creature. But then you basically, after defeating him, you have a choice. After using one of the cure to kill Jack, which of course does kind of point on, probably say the one of the worst dialogue of that choice, like, oh my god, there's only one left. Which of course Zoe said, but even she did said earlier, this is still true, use it on her father to kill him. Which is like, are you serious, girl? Are you absolutely serious? You told me to do it. And yet, you're busily judgmentally asking me to make a choice, and yet you basically okay with it. Oh lord. But even though obviously I choose Mira, because, well, this whole game is kind of basically a husband want to find his wife for missing for 3 years. Hello, that's obviously the better choice and probably lead to a better ending. Which of course I kind of find out if you choose Chloe, it's a bad ending because she dies. Yeah, dear girl, spoiler alert. But even of course as you basically escape from the swamp and you somehow find a shipwreck. But as of course you basically somehow crash into a shipwreck, into the ship, basically of course it is completely wrecked. Basically being attacked by the molded creatures again. And here's the part of the game kinda now explaining the whole story of this whole event. As of course you basically of course find out that now you playing as Mira, which is of course it is great that they switching up, which is a good tie-in from the original. Well, yeah, the originals. And yet of course basically even's being taken. But as you explore the ship, you find like flashbacks and yet some really scary disturbing stuff. Like basically seem to be people who work in the ship being turned into like molded creatures. And yet you also realize these molded creatures were human beings. But as you of course explore more in the ship, you're being taunted by a little girl, which of course being seen out throughout the game and being mentioned a lot by the Baker family. And yet as you basically of course find out she calling you mommy. Yes, she called Mira mommy. And as of course you find out more as you basically find a tape that is a flashback, which I thought it was okay to use a videotape as a flashback, but god damn it, this is year 2017 with set in DVDs where it says hello. But as you of course explore into this tape, you basically find out basically this whole thing is caused by a mysterious organization called the Connection. Which of course I do not know much about them because they're a mysterious company for God's sake. And yet basically all you learn that they're obviously trying to sell a bioweapon that is none other than the little girl. So the little girl is a biohazard weapon. And I hope you know this what I said there. But as of course you basically find more and more and learning more how this happened, basically you also find out Mira is none other than he basically part of a COVID team, like a COVID agent. Does leave a question is he a spy or is he working with this organization? It's kind of like a big mystery, but we have to wait until 8 to come out this year. But as of course you face more and more of it, more of the details in the story, you basically find out that the wee girl have this power of a hive mind as you switch to Ethan. And even of course as you learn more you find out the little girl wants a family. And even of course as you basically entered the hive mind, you saw Jack Baker, and no, this is not a boss fight, so yeah, basically Jack Baker is actually a friendly guy. He's just a sweet guy. He's basically a very caring father until he was basically affected by Eveline, who is the little girl. Eveline, of course, basically caused this whole horror to the whole Baker family, and yet she basically also want, like I said, she want a family, but her family is not other than a toy. Jack tells you he is sorry for basically trying to kill you, and even of course asks you one simple request. He asks before he goes away. He asks you to save his family, even though you kill half of them. But as of course you basically break from that hive mind, with Eli let you go, and basically give you a certain sample, you basically of course have she asks you to kill the bitch, as in the little girl. Yeah, last time someone said a bitch to the little girl, that guy didn't make it. So yeah, but as of course, you basically go into the whole action pack of basically the third and final act of the game. You basically fight your way in the salt mine, basically find a labyrinth in the salt mine for just being there. But of course, you basically of course get the antidote, go to the house, and basically inject the girl, and basically turn out she was the granny. Yes, the granny you see in the whole game is none other than a girl. But it's kind of like makes sense as they say if she used most of her powers or basically make illusion of her form. Like she always wanted to be the little girl of the family. Sweet little girl who is also turning out to be a psychopath and turning families into psychopaths. But as of course, basically beating the whole game, and the final boss battle, obviously there's one trope I like, but they done a very good tie-in, but it's just a pistol. It's basically someone from the chopper just drop a pistol and tell you to use it. It's basically of course Resident Evil version of basically just kill it. So basically of course every Resident Evil game always have a rocket launcher or a special weapon that kill it. Like example, first one, rocket launcher. Second one, rocket launcher. Third one, is basically of course a well gun. Fourth one, rocket launcher. Fifth one, rocket launcher. And sixth one, rocket launcher. But as of course you've done it, the game ends. That's it. But as we learn the whole thing, the whole settings, the whole story, everything about it, it was a really great scary game. Due to the fact how scary it is, and yet how cinematic it is. Even this is not just a game, just any horror game. It's a horror game that changed horror games forever. Even Resident Evil is known for that, for changing the horror genre forever, even since the very first one. But now, of course, with this 8 coming out, we're all curious to see where they're going next with this. Even after with the remakes, which of course I highly recommend to play, because even though I basically will do a video of them too. So yeah, after will be a video of 3 and 2 remake. But I will say this whole game is basically a reboot. As of course, as basically a filmmaker who knows about reboots, reboots always want to catch that idea that they have at the start. Like, how we managed to make this movie so great, and somehow it went to, well, trash, and yet decided to bring it back. it's kind of like the question of reboots. Reboots is anything, but not just money grabbing, but reconnect the fans. Because that is, of course, is important of reboots. It's not money grabbing. It's not about getting the glory of it, but it's more or less about connecting the fans of what they really want. Because I did say that Resident Evil Capcom want to reconnect the fans, because this is a true reboot for the whole franchise. Even of course as we starting seeing that fun this league, the remakes of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, but this is great. But I will say this, thank you guys for watching and enjoying this. I will see you guys soon.